Hey guys, welcome back to another great game of CEDH. Reminder, I have some super sweet guild sweatshirts and beanies up for sale in the shop, so go check it out. Starting us off is Guy from Double Sleeved MTG on Sisay, Weatherlight Captain. Aiming to use your commander's ability to instant speed tutor up either combos or silver bullets. Next up is Hidden on Tymna Thrasios. TnT is back, baby. This is a highly resilient value-based deck, aiming for infinite mana through Devoted Druid, Valley Flood Caller, or Kinnan Lines. In the third spot, we have Wally from TheChadMagic on Plagon. This Azoria Starfish is all about drawing cards, flickering your commanders, and drawing a bunch more. And bringing up the rear is Brendan, who also happens to be one of the Discord members on Hashaton. Aiming for discard shenanigans that let you win basically out of nowhere, and around both counterspells and a lot of interaction.
Alright, block there, kill that. Oh, that is trample. Guess I'm just dead on board.
Guy starts off the game with a command tower and a Mox Amber. Hidden has a City of Brass and passes it there, with Wally following Hidden's lead, just playing out a Scalding Tarn. Brendan has a Scalding Tarn as well and casts a Lotus Petal into an LED. Guy plays out a Trop and for 2 casts a Pippin. Hidden plays out a Manamo and a Thrasios and Passios, with Wally at end step cracking his fetch for Meticulous Archives, surveilling the card to the top. Wally then plays out a Mana Confluence's land and also casts a Lotus Petal, tapping out to cast a Rhystic Study.
Study. Ooh, yeah.
Who's got it?
You love to hate it.
Who's got it?
Yeah. Rhystic Study on the
We can't let that live.
Passes through me.
I pass on it.
Pass as well.
Rhystic Study enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
And I will pass.
With Brendan at end step cracking his fetch for an Undercity Sewers, and keeping the card on top with the Surveil trigger. Brendan has a Sea of Clouds and casts an Imperial Seal. He'll pay for the Rhystic, but Wally will have a response, as he pays 2 life to Mental Misstep it. Guy then heads to his turn and plays out an Ancient Tomb as land for turn. He then heads to combat and sends a Vigilant Pippin at Wally for 2, with him on his second main casting a Lotho. He will pay the 1 and then follows it up with a Lotus Petal, using the last of his floating mana to pay for Rhystic and triggering his Lotho to make himself a treasure. Hidden plays out a Gaia's Cradle as land for turn, tapping it for a Mana Vault, paying the 1. Wally unfortunately was hoping to draw off his Rhystic, as he misses his land drop and for 2 casts a Copy Artifact, copying Hidden's Mana Vault. Brendan untaps and casts a Vohar, Vidalian Desecrator, drawing Wally his first card off Rhystic. Guy also misses his land drop as he takes 2 to cast his Commander Sisay. He'll pay for Rhystic and then heads to combat, sending Pippin again at Wally for 2. Hidden heads to his turn and on his main phase casts an Archivist of Ogma. He gives Wally a card and passes the turn. Wally plays out an Edekar Wastes land for turn and taps his copied Mana Vault to help cast a Dauntless Dismantler, to which Guy shows him a Strict Serenade. Wally will draw off the Rhystic as the spell is countered and Wally gets a bird, with him then following that up with a Phantasmal Image. Guy will get a treasure off Lotho, as Wally has his clone also enter as a Lotho. Brendan on his turn casts his Commander Hashaton, who resolves with Brendan then tapping his Vohar to loot, discarding a Dranith Magistrate. But it's not good enough for him to crack his LED as he passes the turn there, with Wally at end step swordsing Sisay. Although in response, Guy will tap Pippin to give Sisay protection from instants. Unfortunately for Guy, Hidden will respond with a Deadly Rollick. But had the table talked it out, we could have had Wally target the Pippin with the swords and gotten both creatures instead of wasting a spell. Hidden will pay the 1 as Sisay is exiled. Guy then untaps and plays out a Gemstone Caverns as land for turn, spending most of his mana to recast Sisay once again, paying for the Rhystic. Hidden continues to miss his land drop as he tries to cast a Court of Calling, where X equals 5, paying the 1. And while I don't show it, there was quite the conversation about letting this spell resolve, but ultimately it does, as Hidden grabs out a Seedborn Muse and passes. Now both Wally and Hidden will untap, with Wally taking 1 from his tap Mana Vault, who then also misses his land drop and passes, with Hidden at end step activating Thrasios. He keeps the card on top and reveals an Enlightened Tutor off the top, taking a damage to then activate Thrasios once again. He'll continue to keep the card on top, putting a Misty into play. Brendan and Hidden then untap, with Brendan then activating Vohard to loot again, this time looting a Polywog Prodigy. But unfortunately he's still tight on mana, choosing not to use Hashaton, as he plays out a Flooded Strand. He then cracks the land for an Underground Sea, and gains Hidden a life and a card drawn off the Archivist, with Brendan then paying 3 life for a Necropotence, and the 1 extra for Rhystic. Hidden will respond by cracking his Misty to see if there's anything good he can grab with the revealed Enlightened Tutor, and finds a Tundra. But then still in response, he then casts a Whirly Tutor. He gives Wally a draw, and then finds a Valley Floodcaller to put on top, activating Thrasios to draw, and then cast the Floodcaller. This triggers both Lothos and Rhystic as the auto resolves, and Hidden uses the last of his floating green on a Soul Ring, giving 1 more card to Wally. But both Guy and Hidden then pass priority.
You didn't draw anything?
You draw a counterspell?
You draw.
Oh, do you think?
Yes.
Do we,
Yes.
do we,
That's the whole point of this.
Yeah,
They're trying to
that's the whole
counter Necro.
I did draw a counter spell, but it's one that's not going to work. So yeah,
What do
Why not?
you mean?
It's probably a strict Serenade
it's a flare.
or that.
Flare?
Oh,
Flare
because you don't. It's a
Because
no.
this is Lotho, so
Yeah,
You
but
can hardcast
you can
it.
hardcast it. It costs 3 mana.
oh shit, I forgot it had that mode.
Yeah. Every once in a while, you do hardcast the Force so well.
I know it was a long shot to try to get you to untap this, but it was an option.
Yeah.
And while Wally does have the counterspell, he figures that with just the LED left, the counterspell will probably be more helpful against Guy's turn. With Brennan then paying 15 life into the Necro, and heads to end step to get his cards, and then discards.
Discarding City of Brass, Watery Grave, Bleach Bone Verge, Swords, Plowshares, Fierce, Scrubland, Mental Misstep, Rainforest, Ranger Captain, Mindbreak, Soul Ring, Archivist. Nothing is worth the LED.
The rest of your hand, yeah.
Guy and Hidden then untap, with Guy spending 3 mana on a Tyvart, Jubilant Brawler. Gives Wally a card off the Rhystic.
Or not activating right now.
He resolves.
Whatever you flip off of that could change my mind, but I am not activating right now.
With Guy then upticking the Walker and passing it there. With Hidden at end step, flashing in a 1 ring. Wally draws, with Hidden then tapping the ring to also draw, and then cast an Imperial Seal. Wally draws again, and both players will get a treasure off their Lotho, with Wally then casting a Soul Partition on the Floodcaller. This will exile the Otter as it's Brendan's turn to respawn, as he pitches a Mystic Remora to a Force of Negation. There's a Rhystic trigger, but responding to that, Hidden re-flashes in the now 5 mana Floodcaller, this time paying the 1 off Rhystic. But now it's Guy's turn to respawn, as he then activates Sisay to grab a 5-drop or less, with him finding a Selvala Heart of the Wilds onto the battlefield. This puts an Archivist trigger on the stack, but responding to it, Guy cracks his Petal for a green, and then activates Selvala for 6 mana, a Wooburg and a green, which then lets him activate Sisay 1 more time. This time he grabs out a Derevi, who on ETB untaps Selvala to retap her and spin again. But it looks like his math was off, as he can't grab a meal and continue the combo. So instead he pivots and grabs a Sakashima the Imposter, to enter as a copy of Seedborn Muse, letting him try again on Hidden's untap. Hidden now has 3 Archivist triggers to gain him 3 and draw 3. The Valley Floodcaller then resolves, while he draws off his Rhystic, and the Force then counters the Imperial Seal. And knowing Guy has the win on his upkeep, Brendan then cracks his LED for triple blue, and discards a Nezahal to copy off Hashaton. Hidden and Guy both untap, and with the ring trigger on the stack, Guy activates Selvala for mana, and puts a Sisay activation on the stack. But responding to this, Hidden casts a Finale of Devastation where X equals 2. He gives cards to both Wally and Brendan, and the tutor resolves, which unfortunately for Hidden, he thought he wasn't on Oppo as he starts to look through his list to find a creature. But Hidden does see that Guy can't activate again, as Hidden then puts a Thassa's Oracle on the stack, holding priority on the ETB to cast a Demonic Consult. He pays for the Rhystic, but gives a treasure to both Guy and Wally.
I got nothing to stop a Dimcon.
So a load of those happen.
So of all those cards in hand, you don't have a mental misstep or any counter spell at all
Oh, well, I've got something. Don't worry.
to stifle the Thrasios Oracle trigger.
No, I'm letting demonic compensation happen, and Thassa's can happen as well.
Oh, that's right, because he's got an Angel's Grace.
I'm going to wait till we get out. I'm going to respond to the Thassa's Oracle trigger.
He has an Angel's Grace, that's why.
Yeah, I have an Angel's Grace.
Gotcha.
So now that Hidden knows that, he needs to pivot, as he names a Hail Mary opposition agent off his demonic. And luck is on his side, as it's not in the top 6. And he finds it very early on, although he's missing both the mana and the color to actually cast the creature, as he then taps his ring to draw 2. Luckily, finding a Mox Diamond off the top, which he can flash in. He gives everyone a draw and discards a Bayou, letting him flash in his opposition agent. Wally draws, and Hidden finally lets the Thassa's ETB resolve, keeping a card on top. Now back on the Sisay activation, Guy will channel this colossal Sky Turtle to bounce the Oppo back to Hidden's hand.
Never didn't have it.
Never didn't have it, and there's no deflecting SWAT in this pod.
And unfortunately, the table doesn't have anything to stop that, as the Oppo is bounced, and Guy can grab out an Emil, to let him then flicker Derevi to untap his Selvala, generating infinite mana. This lets them search out a Teferi to prevent any other interaction, and then a Mount Doom to infinitely untap and ping the table down, winning Guy the game.
Game review. Man, I guess he never didn't have it. I think our big issue was not getting rid of Pippin earlier when Wally shot off his swords, as that prevented us from moving Sisay a second time and stopping him from comboing off. Granted, I also think if Guy hadn't gone off, then I almost assuredly would have won that game, as leveraging Guy's arch enemy status to get me my Seedborn Muse really would have drowned my opponents out in value, just given at least probably one more turn. But thanks to everyone that joined for the game, and before everyone leaves, I want to thank our special Patreon members, Slyfox and Holy Septic, for their support of the channel, along with all of our other Patreon supporters as well. And remember, never give up, even if you're dead on board. I'll see you guys later.